How's it going, guys? And I'm here to talk about Dragon Ball GT. So I sat down a few months back. I ordered the DVDs off of Amazon. It's like really cheap to get both seasons. This is a 64 episode show altogether, and this is the last entry in the Dragon Ball, I guess you could say, trilogy of sorts, because Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and then Dragon Ball GT. This is the black sheep of the Dragon Ball legacy without a doubt. I remember, many people in school, would say two different things. Either Dragon Ball was GT was good or it was bad, and also people would talk about how it wasn't really genuinely part of the story, and that was up for the debate, and that mostly stems from the fact that there is no original manga by Akira Toriyama, and a lot of people, had gripes with that. And there's also that infamous interview with Toriyama where he said it is a side story. And that is sort of how I kind of feel about it, especially after watching Dragon Ball GT the whole way through. And the reason why I decided to do this is because I had seen GT in pieces throughout the years on Toonami, and I was like, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch this and give it a full assessment, especially because I was in the mood to see it. I had just gotten finished doing my Dragon Ball Z rewatch, and I was all set to get into GT. And what did I think about it overall? It was good. I mean, I sort of really liked it and sort of had a lot of problems with the same time. And wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people echo those sentiments. It is a very, very different sort of show. It's something that you wouldn't really expect them to do after Z. This show, for some reason, even though it has so many of the same characters, a lot of the same elements, this show has a very, very different vibe to it. It also looks different artistically. It definitely is darker. It is a very, very well animated anime without a doubt, but perhaps too dark to the point where it's unsettling. Now, I've talked about liking unsettling moments in the Dragon Ball franchise. There's been a lot of creepy moments. There's been a lot of, dastardly villains that have left us feeling uneasy, like I've talked about Garlic Jr. and all that, and, the elements involving the Dead Zone. But this is one show that takes the creepiness and turns it up to 11. And it pretty much takes place in the first arc, a lot of the creepiness. And, and when we end this show, we're on a somber note. And the show really just has a range of emotions to it. The show is not exactly how I would envision the next chapter in the Dragon Ball franchise to be following the Majin Buu saga. And I really think that Dragon Ball Super was definitely a better follow-up. Obviously, Super takes place during the 10-year time skip, which is what you see at the end of Dragon Ball Z in the last couple of episodes. So let's talk a little bit about this. I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. And I like this in the beginning. So we see Goku training with Oob. Oob is getting stronger. This is exactly how you would kind of envision it to start off, because last we saw Goku was leaving the World Martial Arts Tournament with Oob in tow, and we were off to our next adventure, and that's exactly where it starts off. They're on Kami's lookout. Obviously Goku and Oob have been training together for a few years, and and Oob is finally getting to that inner strength. And like, Oob is a character where you'll see during the baby saga, he's going to fuse with Majin Buu once again, and and they're going to become an even stronger force. And nothing really becomes of Oob. He's just kind of a useful character where he needs to be there. But you would think at the end of Z that Oob is gonna be like some big main character, that perhaps just maybe he might be Goku's equal, because Goku talks this guy up like he's super excited for him. But we don't even really get to see Oob until, much later into the show. We're like 20 something episodes into it. And when we get to the baby saga, and that's where we really get to see, what's going on with Oob and how far he's progressed as far as his, strength and power. So the story starts off, with Goku becoming a child once again, because he familiar foe, Emperor Pilaf, and I really like this that they brought back Pilaf, who we didn't see at all during Z, and Pilaf, the Garlic Jr. look-alike, of course. Garlic Jr. came after, but he's severely aged, and so is Mai, and I don't know, something about this is very off-putting. They made them look extremely creepy in their elder years, and they come upon something that you would not expect. A whole different set of Dragon Balls, and they're the Black Star Dragon Balls. And we get to see Ultimate Shenron, and a wish is made, and Goku turns into a child, and we're off to the races because now the Earth is going to fucking explode if they don't get these Dragon Balls back to Earth in time. And the first couple episodes of the show, they're just so, they're fun to a certain extent, but they're very nonsensical, very meaningless. And this is the reason why they cut out something like 14 episodes when they aired this on Toonami, because what's happening here? Even Dragon Ball with the light-hearted approach still felt very meaningful. And I can't, implore you enough, there's so many Dragon Ball fans out there who have not seen Dragon Ball because they claim that the characters are underpowered and all these other ridiculous excuses not to watch it. Guys, you gotta just buckle down and watch it. You'll thank me later. But, this show it does not get off to the best start. It doesn't get off to a roaring start like that first episode. It's basically Goku, Trunks, and Pan, going around space, and, Goku saying some funny stuff. Pan is a very charming character, even Trunks, and this arc right here that eventually leads into the baby arc is the weirdest thing in there. You could see that, the writers were, panicking, that there were just, so many different ideas going every which way. When we've got the cult of Lude, we've got one guy cracking a whip. The whip is actually the lead of the cult. Then we see it's a guy called Doltaki, and they're praying to a big baby robot, which is so fucking weird to me. And they're turning people into dolls to fuel the power source of Lude. And then we see there's a Dr. Gero look-alike by the name of Dr. Mew behind this whole thing. And it's just so weird, and and then we get to the baby saga, and surprise, surprise, he's actually a Tuffle, guys. Where the fuck did that even come from? It's how is he a Tuffle? Is this Dr. Mew wanted to resurrect the Tuffle race? But why does he look this way? I couldn't tell you. And this is really not made clear in the first episodes where we're introduced to him. He's basically just an organism in a tank. And I remember the first time I saw this on Toonami, I was like, that reminds me of Cell right there. I mean, because they showed Cell as an embryo in a tank in Z. And this was very reminiscent of that. Baby ends up taking over Vegeta's body, and here's something else we have to talk about, and that's pretty much what the baby saga is all about. He once again uses the Black Star Dragon Balls because when Goku, Pan, and Trunks bring him back to Earth, Baby gets the Dragon Balls, wishes for Planet Tuffle to be revived, and he manages to brainwash all of the citizens of Earth into becoming his followers, which is a pretty interesting concept, and it's kind of a lot like the Garlic Jr. saga, the Black War missing. But there's just, I don't know, there's such a tone to this where it's so downtrodden. It's hard to explain, but it's not lively enough, and it makes me feel sort of depressed. I'm entertained, I'm enjoying what I'm watching, but I'm like, man, like, this is super depressing. Like, I talked about how I like seeing, or, heroes with their backs against the wall, but like, sometimes it just feels like, you kind of want a little bit more hope. We got Gohan, Goten, all these characters, by the way, are just pathetic. Everyone is like fucking pathetic in this show. No one's been training. Everyone is underpowered. I mean, they did go. You want to talk about, did they do Gohan dirty? This is why when I got into my Majin Buu retrospective, I mean, I had to just say, like, it's exaggerated, because you gotta believe that this right here, this was like the stake, that this was the nail in the coffin, the stake in the heart of Gohan. I mean, they just made this guy look like just a total geek, just completely helpless. And same thing with Goten. I mean, and we don't even get to see Gotenks at all. There's no fusion taking place between Trunks and Goten at all. So we don't even get to see that. What a missed opportunity. It goes without saying. Even Piccolo is helpless. Everyone's helpless. And I get it. I've said it. It's the Goku show at the end of the day. But man, oh man, could we at least, have one of these characters manage to, participate and help out a little bit? No, I mean, everyone's just basically getting stomped. Their asses are getting stomped big time in this show, left and right. So we get the idea here, Goku is just completely, outmatched by Baby. He almost dies until the Supreme Kai manages to save him. Supreme Kai brings him back to the Kai planet with Elder Kai. And, I like Super Saiyan 4. I was always mixed. Like, I remember seeing this as a teenager and not being too crazy about, monkey Super Saiyan. And I remember when someone showed me a picture of this, I was like, how do you go from like golden hair back to black hair? And now he's just all hairy like an ape. But I don't know, my opinions kind of changed over time. I think I understood the design. I kind of like where they were going for here with the lore, where it's kind of like Goku has to go back to his original Saiyan roots, and the whole thing with the Tuffle race, and it kind of fits together in a way. We're kind of going back through history, but about this whole thing where they're trying to pull the tail out of Goku, and we had already like pushed Tails to the side, like Tails are just pretty much not a factor anymore, because it was supposed to be that why turn into great apes anymore, when we could become Super Saiyans. It just didn't make a lot of sense. But somehow we're like, oh, but we can be a different level of Super Saiyans with the tails. It just felt like going backwards. And it's just so much better in Super, how they just, went forward, and you got Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, Ultra Instinct. I mean, it just fits better into the lineage of being a Super Saiyan. Like, you wouldn't have to go back and rely on your tail. So, mixed reaction there, and the fact that I would have liked to see Vegeta, fight alongside Goku, instead of it kind of being like Goku versus Baby in Vegeta's body, and Vegeta getting his body taken over is just not how I wanted to see him portrayed in GT. I mean, we don't get to see this guy like pretty much throughout the whole entire show. We see him briefly, then they're blasting off into space, and we don't get to see Vegeta. And so then when we finally get back to Vegeta, Vegeta's already had his body taken over. Anyway, the sacrifice that Piccolo makes, to me, it's a little bullshit. I don't like the way that they kind of had Piccolo decide to stay behind, so the Black Star Dragon Balls get destroyed. That's what they decided to do with him. But they had ways of getting Piccolo to kind of stay there, like in the Majin Buu saga. Like, he really couldn't help out that much against Majin Buu, but they still managed to keep him relevant by training Goten and Trunks in Goku's absence. So there was that for Piccolo. But here they were like, we can't figure out what to do with him. Let's just kill him off. And to me, I just thought that was sort of lazy. From this point, we're on to the Super 17 saga, where we see Dr. Mew is in hell because Baby had killed him earlier on. And he teams up with Dr. Gero. And if you thought you've seen enough batshit insane stuff, get ready for this saga, because we have Android 17, ladies and gentlemen, from the Earth, and a hell version of Android 17 that both the good doctors built in hell. And there's a big chain of energy. They rip open a rift in hell. All the former villains start pouring out. And this is just like, it's kind of cool, but I don't know. It's like, I don't really love it all that much. And I think that this was done way better. Like the hell sort of thing was done way better in Fusion Reborn. You know, if you've seen that DBZ movie, which is like one of the best movies that they made. I don't know, you know, just seeing Goku fighting against Cell and Frieza and Hell, it doesn't really feel like Frieza and Cell. Like it's just, I don't know. It's like the writing it's like, this is not how I envision this big rematch. You go and you play Dragon Ball Z Fighters, or Dragon Ball Fighters rather, the Cell Frieza team up is like 20 times better than this, and I'm not even joking. You know, don't underestimate the DBZ or just the Dragon Ball video games in general, because some of them have some pretty enticing storylines. But we have this weird chain of energy, and bam, we've got Super 17, Super Android 17, and he's a souped up Android 17, basically. And the one thing that I could only think about is just how much better Android 17 is portrayed in Dragon Ball Super. And, you know, you'll watch this and you'll pretty much see that, like, this is why GT cannot be canon, like, moving forward after Super. Because, you know, this is pretty much makes it like a moot point, you know, at this juncture. You see just Vegeta getting, like, just decimated here. And you're just like, holy shit, like, he's just completely worthless. He really is. And this just is just a very underwhelming return for Android 17. And then we're off to the Shadow Dragon saga, which I think this really improves things quite a bit as far as like tone and direction, having like a consistent idea going on. And it doesn't feel as like batshit insane as all the other stuff, to be quite honest. Because, I mean, you know, we're talking about a big baby robot earlier that's being fueled by people getting turned into dolls. I mean, like, you know, you're just trying to just creep me the fuck out with, like, not even trying at that point. But here, you know, we have a really interesting idea. You know, what if the Z Fighters overused the Dragon Balls, and now the dragon gets all messed up, a different dragon comes out that's smoking a cigar, the Dragon Balls end up emitting smoke, releasing the Shadow Dragons. And, you know, this idea is just awesome. And I really, really like it a whole lot, because you kind of think about it. You know, they had kind of cheated death so many times with the Dragon Balls over the years. Brought the Earth back, brought the population back multiple times. You know, you would think, like, okay, you can just keep doing this. It's kind of like a genie in a bottle, right? But, like, you know, we're talking about something more mystical, something that has a lot more history around it. And, you know, the lore behind the Dragon Balls is something really shrouded in mystery. And the fact that they gave this added lore to it, like, you got to be careful around these things. You can't just treat them and take them for granted. And that's really what the thing is. It's like they're getting punished because you took these Dragon Balls for granted. You kept on pushing your luck. And now you've got to face off against these nefarious foes. And in the end, Omega Shenron is the one that finally gets to kill Goku. and it's a death that is, not like the one with Cell, where it's pretty much like, not like him really directly killing Goku. I mean, here there's a blast and he kills him. But we don't think that at first. But, we get to see Gogeta. Vegeta is once again portrayed as pathetic. They have to do this workaround. Bulma has to help him with, like, blood waves. I mean, really, they just did a phenomenal job of just making Vegeta look pathetic in GT. And also when it comes time for him to get on the battlefield, he's getting his ass stomped out. And just like all the other characters that are not named Goku. Like, they had a good thing going where Vegeta was just a little bit behind Goku, but he's like way behind him in this show. The ending of this show is a little off, but I like it. And some people call bullshit on it, but I sort of like it in a way. So Goku basically dies at the end. I mean, he dies without a doubt. People have debated this, but no, he's fucking dead. he dies here. So Omega Shenron lets out a big ass blast. Goku is wiped out. There's a giant crater, but somehow, some way, Goku rises from the ashes with a big ass spirit bomb. And the difference is with this spirit bomb from the one that he launched at Majin Buu, this is all the energy from the entire universe as opposed to just the Earth. And launches this thing at Omega Shenron. Omega Shenron is dead. But then you've got Shenron, the regular Shenron, is now finally making his presence known here in the show and basically informs them about the overusage of the Dragon Balls and that they can no longer use them. But Goku asks it's okay to have one last wish. He wishes for the Earth to be back to normal after all the destruction that Baby has caused. And after that, Goku decides to go with Shenron. He rides on Shenron's back. He visits Krillin. He visits Piccolo in Hell, and he basically does a goodbye tour. And then this is like the saddest part. I mean, I got choked up during this part. Lays down on Shenron's back and exclaims, "I've never felt this tired before." And he lays down, falls asleep, disappears, and so does all the other Dragon Balls as Shenron just flies through heaven above the clouds. And like, then we see that so that was that really, was that Goku? In the bodily sense? Well, it was, but it was like he was allowed to like live one last time so he could defeat Omega Shenron. And we see that Pan finds his ripped up, torn up gi laying on the ground. And Vegeta tells her, "You better hold on to that." And then we fast forward like years and years, and we see that we have Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. facing off in the World Martial Arts Tournament in the Juniors division. We see an old lady Pan, and then we see the spirit of Goku watching on. And it's a really beautiful ending. It's a real somber moment, and perhaps a tad too sad. I mean, I talked about DBZ being like a sad ending, but at least you see Goku is happy with Thoob, but Pan's still crying her eyes out, and right here seeing, Goku just disappear. It's just, it really is. It's a tearjerker. But there's a poetic sense of beauty to the ending, without a doubt. So, what do I think about this show overall? The funny thing is, Goku being a kid again. That's a point that needs to be talked about a little bit here. I like Dragon Ball a whole hell of a lot, and it's a show that, like, I'm so sad that a lot of people don't give it a chance because the characters are underpowered, as I used to hear all the time from people. And that's not the case. you could even make the argument that certain elements are superior to DBZ, and it definitely deserves your time without a doubt. But this show does not have that same magic, even though they kind of were going for it here. And it's the simple fact that perhaps it's just a tad too dark for Kid Goku. Where, this show, I kind of really wondered, why did they decide to kind of have him go back? People talked about it's a way of kind of evening the playing field, because him being a kid again would mean that he would be weakened. But, I don't know. I'm just kind of not buying that in a way. I think they were trying to recapture something that simply just couldn't be recaptured. And they went back to the well one too many times. And it just kind of felt like a little too samey, like we were treading on ground that, shouldn't be treaded on again. And, there is some humorous parts, there's some fun parts, but and it's definitely great to see, and hear Stephanie Noldi back doing the voice of Goku again, because she did such a good job dubbing in Dragon Ball. It was nice to see her again, but I don't know. It's like I like it, but then again I'm like, why couldn't Goku just be an adult? Why was it necessary for him to be a kid throughout the whole show, with the exception of when he turned Super Saiyan 4? I really couldn't tell you. It's very perplexing, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of good answers to it other than the power scaling argument. Vegeta's done dirty, Gohan's done dirty, Trunks is done dirty. We've got so many characters done dirty in this show. It's a little bit ridiculous and a little bit off-putting, to be quite honest. And I don't really know what to tell you with this show. It's a good show. It's a fun show, but at times it feels like a little bit like Dragon Ball fan fiction. It doesn't really feel like this is an Akira Toriyama inspired work. And you can see, even when you read with the heroes' backs against the wall, reading the manga, that's going on right now, the Dragon Ball Super manga, even with the moral arc that I'm currently reading through, it doesn't get depressing, even though they're in dire straits. There's a mood, there's a tone, and this show just doesn't have the right tone that I'm looking for in Dragon Ball, and I don't think it went in the right direction. I think Super put it in the right direction. So do I feel that they should eventually just retcon this in the future? I kind of think so. A lot of people have been asking that for some time. I've seen some people say that they enjoy GT better than Super. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't agree with that, but it's definitely a show that's worth your time. It's interesting to watch. It's definitely confusing at parts, and it's a real head scratcher trying to figure out why they made certain decisions in the show. But hey, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, I think almost every single Dragon Ball fan owes it to themselves to watch this show and see what it has to offer at the very least. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. And I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And I'll see you next time.